Well, this here is the all-new Honda Civic, and officially it takes on the likes of the Toyota Corolla Altis as well as the Skoda Octavia. But which one do you think looks the best? Do let me know in the comments below. I personally feel that this one looks the best out of all these three cars. And talking about looks and pictures, do please follow me on Instagram as well as Twitter. My handle is Ashish Masih 1. If you do follow me there, then my influential powers will grow in front of manufacturers, and they will send all these cars to me much faster than they do, so I can give you a lot more video reviews here on YouTube. My handle is Ashish Masih 1. You can also follow the team at Autoportal_India. Now let's jump inside this car and find out if the interiors are just as futuristic as the original Civics were in 2006. Let's jump inside and start the review. Well, in terms of overall cabin ambience, the Civic really is brilliant. The overall materials used are fantastic. You also get this huge center console which separates the driver and the occupant and gives you a sense of being inside an airliner cockpit. So it does have that sense of being inside the cockpit of an airliner. You also get a very rich experience in terms of the features. You get this sunroof, you get ABS airbags, you also get auto brake hold, you also get a camera in the side view mirror which tells you if there's a car or a bike or any object in your blind spot. It'll warn you to be careful on the left side, there's something near you. So that's a very good safety feature as well. You also get a very unique feature which is on the key. You can start this car from the outside. If you're around 10 meters off the car, you can press that button and start it, and that's a feature which people who live in the northern part of India will truly appreciate in the summers, because you can chill out the cabin and then enter the car. It's a very thoughtful touch, and people who are on their mobile phone will also appreciate this car quite a lot, because not only can you access your mobile phone via this 7-inch touchscreen which is easy to operate in its own right, but you can also access that phone via the main gauge over here. All you need to do is simply scroll down on these buttons and see who you've called or who you don't want to call, and that's a thoughtful touch as well. In terms of overall comfort, the seats are really nice because the support for the lower back is good. You get these side bolsters, support for your tall legs and long legs are also very good, and you sit nice and low, which means that it's a sporty kind of a feel when you're sitting in this car. You also get paddle shifters for the automatic, and the steering wheel also adjusts for rake as well as for reach. So what I'm essentially trying to say is that the interiors of this car are first rate and get a very strong score of 9 out of 10. Well, so if you've been following my video reviews here on YouTube for the last 5 years, then I'm sure that by now you know that my height for reference is 5'10", and I always adjust the front seat for my height in my driving position. And as you can see, for someone who's about 5'10", knee room here is very good. It really does feel like a luxury car in terms of the room, and headroom also is quite okay. Now if you are about 5'11" or 6, you should be quite okay in these seats, but because of that sloping roofline on the outside, if you're about 6'1" or 6'2", then you won't have to go to that salon to set your hair, because the roof here will definitely set them for you, and you can of course save some money by not going to salon. But of course, jokes apart, it is a nice and wide car at the back. You can have 3 occupants with ease and comfort. There is a bit of a hump in the floor panel, but it's not too much. It's not a big issue because the footwells are very big and are very accommodating in terms of the feet, so whoever's sitting here will have plenty of place to set his feet. The seats themselves are very good in terms of comfort. The support for the lower back is good, the backrest angle is spot on, and the support for your under thighs and tall legs also is very good. Long legs is very good, and the knee and hip angle also is pretty good. Now these seats are pretty low set, but it's not that they become uncomfortable, because the cushioning, the support and the backrest angle really is spot on. You can also pull out the armrest here and sit like the boss and tell your driver to just punch the accelerator pedal and get you down to your journey and your destination as fast as you can. But of course, in my case, I have to drive myself because I can't afford a chauffeur. Well, in terms of the boot space, the Civic really is impressive. As you can see, it's a very nice and deep boot. It's also a very wide boot, and the best part is that there's almost no loading sill. The floor of the car isn't very high from the ground, so you don't have to put in your back into it. You won't have to put in too much effort when you're loading up this car. And of course, if your mother-in-law's come with her entire kit or entire luggage for the next couple of weeks, then it shouldn't take too much of an effort. But just like my poor taste in jokes, there's also something very poor on this car, and that is that the aperture isn't very wide. So if you have a big box to load, maybe a big air conditioning unit or maybe a big geyser in its packaging, if you've just bought it from Vijay Sales or from Chroma, then that will be a bit difficult to put into this car because of this narrow opening. But apart from that, it is nice and spacious, and as I said, nothing in life is perfect, and neither are my jokes. Well, so the Honda Civic comes with two engine options. There's a 1.8 petrol and there's also a 1.6 diesel. Yes, Honda has for the first time ever introduced a diesel version of the Civic in India. The earlier car only had a petrol engine option. And I have to say that both these engines are very good in terms of overall refinement. The petrol really is the last word in refinement, because sometimes when you started from cold and when you're at a signal, you will not even know that it is on. It is so silent and so quiet inside the cabin. And Honda really has done a good job of cocooning the occupant here from all the noise outside. There's absolutely no tire noise, there's no wind noise, and as I just said, there's no engine noise which filters into the cabin, making this a nice and quiet place for those long highway trips. Now, in terms of the gearboxes, Honda has surprisingly chosen only to give you an automatic with the petrol. There's no manual option, and of course you get paddle shifters behind the steering wheel, which give you a sense of greater driver involvement. And these shifters do work really well with the CVT gearbox. They really enhance the overall driver involvement, as I just said, with the car. The diesel only gets a manual gearbox. There's no automatic on the diesel available, which is also surprising. Now, in terms of fuel efficiency, Honda claims that the diesel will deliver in excess of 26 kpl and the petrol will deliver in excess of 16 kpl, and these are very efficient figures. And going by our past experiences with Honda cars, I think Honda is one of the few manufacturers where the performance of actual real-world conditions as well as whatever they claim is very closely matched. There's hardly a 10 or 12% gap, so you can expect to be very close to these figures in real-world conditions as well. Now, the good point about the Civic is the fact that it really does feel like a very good and sporty driver's car, because it has a nice center of gravity. It's a very low center of gravity that this car offers you. The steering wheel is really nice and crisp. The chassis really feels very agile, so if you want to change directions quickly with this car will really do it and put a smile on your face. And it is a whole lot more stable than your ex-girlfriend was on the highway. This car really feels very stable, very pliant, and very comfortable on the highway. There's very good suspension tuning as well by Honda engineers on this car, because no matter what speeds you're doing, this car really does soak in the bumps. It might be slow city speeds, fast highway speeds, nothing seems to flutter the Honda Civic's overall appeal on the ride department. And even, as I just said, the overall handling is very agile and will put a smile on your face. Now, in terms of overall performance, the petrol engine definitely is the one that I would go for, because it feels really agile, it feels really quick to respond to your throttle inputs. The diesel also is pretty good, not to say that it's bad, but it's just that below 2000 RPM it is very lazy to respond to throttle inputs, and it does need to be wakened up. And after 2000 RPM it does deliver decent performance. Till 2 and 4000 RPM it is quite good, but yes, the petrol, right from the word go, it has great performance to deliver and really is a great driver's car. Of course, having paddle shifters also means that you get a great sense of involvement with this car. Now, special mention has to be made about the overall visibility of this car. You get very slim pillars over here, so you can easily look around them. The rear view mirrors also are of a good size, and the view from the last window also is pretty good, so visibility isn't an issue. Now, if you decide to go for the diesel engine and you decide to rev it hard, there is a little bit of diesel clatter which enters the cabin, and the petrol really is the better one in terms of overall refinement. But the clutch and the gearbox on the diesel is really nice and slick, and it is a typical Japanese unit, the diesel engine's gearbox that is. It feels light, it feels sporty, and it has a nice and springy action as well to it. Well, so overall, in summary, the Honda Civic comes with very strong styling on the outside, a very comfortable and plush interior on the inside, and it also has two very good engines which make it a very nice driver's car. And what I'm essentially trying to say is that this is a great little package. Being a Honda also means that resale values will be very strong, as will be reliability and its desirability after 5 or 6 years. And this really is a star car and deserves all the accolades that it will get. Now, in terms of the score sheet, I give it a very strong score of 90 out of 100. You should definitely check it out at a Honda dealership near you. It's bye for now, and hope to see you soon.